Okay, so the Premier League starts this week. Very exciting times, is one we all wait for. So in this video, we are going to give you our predictions for the league this season. Well, relegation, Europa League spots, biggest overachievers, top four, and who we actually think is going to win the Premier League this season. And we're going to start off with our relegation candidates. And Taylor, so we'll start off with relegation. What do you think? Bottom three?
Okay, so no particular order. I think we're going to go for Watford. Seen them last season in the Championship. I weren't really that impressed with them. They were a good, solid team, could grind out results. I just don't think they'll be able to take that up to the next step in the Premier League. For me, I think Norwich will also get relegated. I think they're in a better shape than they were the last time they were in the Premier League last time. But I'm just looking at them. I think a couple of their good players can get poached. You know, Buendia's already gone. Cantwell could also be on his way out. Timu Pukki, I don't think he'll get the goals required for Norwich in the Premier League. So I think they're going to get relegated. My final pick, I think this year is finally the year Burnley get relegated.
No chance.
I think they're a team that Sean Dyche, I really like him as a manager. I just feel they haven't really backed him. They haven't really made that many signings. And I just think, unfortunately, this year is the year Burnley are going to get relegated.
So, they haven't made signings actually, have they? You're right.
Yeah. Can't really argue with them three, to be honest. But
what are you thinking?
Who are you going for?
So mine are definitely Norwich. I just don't think they won't have enough. I don't think. As he mentioned, I think their best players will probably end up leaving, and I can't see. For me, they're not an attractive club, so I can't see them getting the players in needed to stay in that league. So yeah, I think they'll probably finish rock bottom, to be fair. And then my next pick is Southampton. After losing Danny Ings, I think they're really going to struggle. I think if they don't invest that money wisely, which personally I don't think they will, I can't think of anyone who they could get that's going to get the same goals as him. And so yeah, I think for that reason they're going to massively struggle. And I look around their team, bar Ward-Prowse, I don't really like any.
Decent.
And
but
Villa are actually in for Ward-Prowse as well, aren't they?
They are, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if he left, especially after Danny Ings going. No, there might be like a bit
Villa
of
are single-handedly relegating Southampton.
Yeah. So for that reason,
remember Liverpool used to poach Southampton's players.
Yeah.
Mainly Danny Ings leave, and I think Southampton they're going to massively struggle this year, and I think they'll get relegated. And this one might be a bit of a surprise, but for me, Crystal Palace.
Really?
Okay,
wow.
I think.
So you think Watford are going to stay up there?
Yeah,
okay,
I think
fair enough.
they always do, don't they? You know, they're going to change their manager after a month, and then they're going to get someone in. They're going to go on a run of 3 or 4 games, then they'll sack him in a couple of months, get someone else in, and I think Watford will be alright.
I think Palace is an interesting
choice. I just think obviously they've lost Andros Townsend. I think he was one of their star players along with Zaha. I can't see Zaha staying, to be honest. I think someone's going to snap him up, because for me, he's been wanting a move for ages. You know, a couple of seasons.
Do you think he'll go? Yeah, by the end of the window.
I think if he doesn't go now, then he's lost his chance. I think he's got one last chance to go to a bigger club than Palace. I don't know who would fit the bill. But
for me, I Crystal Palace is a weird one, because at the start, during the Euros, let's just say, before pre-season and everything kicked off, I'm just hearing about Palace. Obviously, Hodgson's left, we know that. And then it's Patrick Vieira's come in. But all I'm hearing, Andros Townsend's on the radio saying he doesn't know about his contract situation. And all I'm hearing is Crystal Palace are losing half their team. And I'm like, that's a fucking huge job to do. And I know Nuno Espirito Santos almost took the job, and I'm sure he didn't take it because he thought, I'm not walking into that. So fair play to Patrick Vieira, and to be fair, I was nervous about them. And I do think it can still go either way. I think you're right to have your doubts.
I look around that team though. I look around that team, and same as Southampton, I don't see any really bars. Take out Zaha, I don't see any real stars. I don't rate Benteke.
Who have they signed recently?
I never
know
have.
they've signed a
They
centre-half.
signed that centre half from Chelsea.
Because I just
don't know how
think
to pronounce his name, but
they've got rid of a lot of players, but I think they've
A lot of them was
started
Ned
well
Wood, though.
enough in
I
terms
feel like
of
they've
who
quite
they've
an
brought.
aging squad as
Yeah.
well. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's
they've got rid of a lot
Take-
of
it's-
Asian players.
They've got that Eze, who I think's quite.
They've signed that guy from
He's
Reading.
he's done though, like he's ACL last year, I think
Oh,
it was,
right, okay.
or something like that. Achilles maybe.
Yeah.
And he's
Right,
he's
so
gone for the season.
With-
So you
without him
definitely
out
think
there,
Palace.
yeah, he's.
I think Palace. I agree. Palace will struggle. I just don't think they'll get relegated.
I think I do think they'll struggle. It's
Yeah.
a big job to take, but
I
I think he started well. I think he's done what he can do in terms of recruitment so
Yeah.
far. It's not we're going to go mid-table, but I think they'll do well enough. I think they've made a good start considering they've got rid of the deadwood
Yeah.
almost, and now it's just see where they go.
Players like Cahill,
so-
who are good, but they're kind of past their Saudi.
Yeah.
You know, they're not.
I
They're
feel
not
like they've
players
had
you
the
want to
same
rely on.
team
Well,
for ages.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the same players. You know, Milivojevic.
But that's what I mean. So like
Cahill and
that's what I'm saying. It can go either way because they had an Asian team, they had an Asian manager, and now they've got a few Asian players in still. Don't get me wrong, but they've got rid of a few of them. They've got rid of their manager. And they've completely revamped. And I'm looking at it like, geez, they're revamping too much. Like, there's only so many players you can bring in with a certain quality, and how much money it's actually going to cost you. Because a lot of them went for free transfers, and you're like, or just contract over.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it's a bit. But again, I think they've started well. I think they need to do a lot more still. And if they don't, then they're screwed. But I just think they've
100%.
started
And I think
well. We'll see on that one, I suppose.
With Vieira's style of play as well, it's an interesting one. So with Hodgson, he set Crystal Palace up to be very solid, and they actually got.
Do you not think he'll do that? Because I haven't seen enough of Vieira to even know what he'll do.
The rumblings are that Vieira wants to play a
so.
bit more of an expansive style of play than Roy Hodgson did, and what Roy Hodgson did
I
really
think
well.
I think that'll be.
That could
fuck him
you know,
over.
You know, that could really.
Because
go
I
against
think
because they tried
the reason why
they're bored,
still in the Premier League is because of the way Hodgson played and set them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Roy Hodgson's, don't get me wrong, he didn't go well when he was at Manchester Liverpool, but all the other teams like Fulham,
he suits them teams.
and Crystal
Yeah.
Palace,
Yeah.
See,
you know,
Vieira-
The fans don't
Yeah.
like it.
Vieira might play the way the fans want, and
Yeah.
you know
That's
the way the
that's
club and the owners want, but.
every
But I think-
team
it
wants to
might-
play like Barcelona.
It might
Do you-
take a couple of years. It might take them to get relegated to come back up
Yeah,
and get the players.
And I think the owners now have got to the point where they tried to go down the attractive route before, but at that point players were one in contract and they could take a risk, see how it went, and then go back to their old ways. Whereas now there were so many that were out of contract, where it was the perfect time for them to say, okay, it could really screw us, but let's now change our way of playing to how the fans want, because we can. We've lost all these players. Let's get attractive players in. Let's change it. But as you say, you're probably right that they could get relegated this year, and they probably are in trouble. I don't agree with. I think they struggle, but I think they'll stay on. But my three, there's going to be one shock in there as well. But mine's going to be Norwich. It kills me saying it because I like watching Norwich,
Yeah.
but
Norwich
I think if they
watch.
get rid of Cantwell, which I think they will, I just think that's too many important players they've got rid of before a Premier League season, and that will cost them. So I think they'll go down. I think they won't go down the same way they did before. I think they'll go up with a little bit more of a fight this time, but we'll see. My other team is going to be Watford. I just don't think they've got the right manager. I think he ended well last season, but I don't think they've done enough in the transfer market to actually take them to the next level. I don't think Deeney will save them like they did in the past.
You don't like teams in yellow, do you?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of the other team in yellow, but no. So the one that's gonna shock you, and I do think Southampton are in trouble, but I think they have a great manager. Is my thinking. So they will just about
agreed.
save relegation.
Yeah.
But Newcastle, on the other hand, I don't think they have a great manager, and they haven't brought absolutely anyone. And considering they struggled so much, I know they saved a little bit towards the end.
Yeah.
I just think they're going to be in trouble again, and it takes one injury or two injuries like it did last season with Wilson and Saint Maximin for their season to go to pot again. And I just, if they don't buy anyone, I think they're in trouble. So for me personally, I think Newcastle are down.
I think
I
Newcastle is a good shout as well, because I mean we've seen previous seasons, even when they've looked like a team that shouldn't be in that relegation battle, they found themselves dragged in there and going down. this year they rely on Saint Maximin and Callum Wilson quite a lot. If anything were to happen to any of those two players, if you got to rely on Joel Linton,
100% they'll be in trouble.
Yeah,
you're not going to do well.
But the fact that they've got the quality of Wilson and Saint Maximin, I think that's why they'll stay up. But
yeah. Well,
granted, if they get injured,
that's the thing, because I think Wilson's injury prone as well.
Yeah,
and by looks of it, I do think Saint Maximin is as well. So they're important players that are injury prone, and that will cost them when they haven't got I just don't think Bruce is a good enough manager for a team like Newcastle and what they want. But I think, to be honest, when I say that, that's what the fans want. Like the owner is quite happy with who they've got because it's cheap, it's cheerful.
If they did get relegated, I wouldn't be surprised. But I just feel because of Wilson is the main reason why I think they'll just have.
Hopefully he stays fit, 'cause I like Wilson. I think he's a quality player.
If he stays, if he stays up, if he stays fit, 100% they'll stay up.
So moving on to overachievers.
Yeah.
So I think there's a few teams that could overachieve. We'll start with you this time. So who do you think?
Yeah, so I had a couple, but I'm gonna go for Brentford just because they're probably one of the teams I watched most from the Championship last year, and I just love the way they play. You know, they're just so fearless, and Ivan Toney, I think he's just different gravy, man. I know he's never played in the Premier League before, but you know he's been at Premier League clubs, just never had the chance. And I just think he's got the confidence just to hit the ground running, and I think he's going to get a good chunk of goal. I think he'll get at least you get over 10 Premier League goals. I think, which for someone like Brentford, I think is going to make a massive difference.
Yeah.
And for me, I can. I don't really know where they're going to finish, but I think they'll sort of have a season, like Sheffield United did when they first came.
They'll have a season that excite people.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna like to watch them, and they'll tune in, and I think they're gonna do really well, because I think they're gonna be a bit of a surprise for most teams.
For me, with Brentford, it's been painful watching them in the Championship because they were way too good for the Championship. But because of how competitive the Championship is, it's like Leeds, really. It's so hard to get out of a league like that. And I look at Brentford the last couple of years, I'm like, okay, if you make that step to the Prem, Prem's going to suit you to the ground. Like kind of Bournemouth, really, when they came in, and Swansea, when Brendan Rodgers came up with them, you looked at them and you thought, they're going to play really well, because they play. And that's where I thought last season, a couple of seasons ago, Norwich would be the same. I think they went too attacking though. They didn't have a good balance about them, like Bournemouth and Swansea did.
I think it's the element of surprise as well.
That depends with Brentford. Like if the one thing that excited me about Brentford is they went and got that Aya, who has been quite a good defender for Celtic, and I'm like, okay, you're good. Midfield striker, now you get defenders to.
They obviously always sign the right players that they need as well.
They're scouting.
They got rid of Ollie Watkins, and then Ivan Toney comes in. Do you know what I mean? And who was it before Watkins that they had playing? Was it Neil Maupay?
Yeah, Neil Maupay. Yeah.
So they've got 3 goal scorers there that smashed it in the Prem, and obviously Maupay's in the Prem now with Brighton, and he's he doesn't get obviously the same amount of goals because obviously it's different.
Does quite well though. Like when I watch him, he looks like he causes problems. Yeah,
he doesn't look out of place.
He's just not a goal scorer. That's the problem with him. But what do you? Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, obviously Watkins as well. He's gone to Villa, and he looks, he doesn't look out of place either. So
he stepped up. That, to be honest, that's Brentford's scouting network. Whether it's going abroad or lower leagues, it's just mad, and they're not on the scale of Liverpool and Ajax and things like that, obviously, because they're bigger clubs, but they very much followed their model of getting young, exciting players that you can build
they always
into
get the
great
right
players.
Which is what teams should do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to agree with Brad here. I think Brentford, I think they're probably going to stay up in their first season in the Premier League, and I think a big factor, and you can't talk about Brentford without talking about Ivan Toney. 31 goals in 45 games last season, broke the Championship goal scoring record. He scores goals. He's a complete striker in the sense that he scores goals with right foot, left foot, scores headed goals as well.
Did he score against Cole? Just a question.
Yeah, he scored 2 goals when Brentford were at home He scored 2 goals against us in a 2-0 loss for us. Thankfully, when we played at home at St Andrews, we beat them 2-0, so thankfully he didn't score then.
I haven't been watching that game actually.
Yeah, good game of football that was. So with Ivan Toney, he's in a recent interview with The Athletic, he's looked at the numbers Ollie Watkins and Patrick Bamford got last year, 14 and 17 goals respectively. He said that he reckons he can beat that, and if he can beat that, if he gets 18 goals in a Premier League season, you'd think Brentford would have created and scored enough chances for them to stay up. And I think
the key for them is how good are they at the back. I think that's
Exactly.
the key for that to stay up. But I think
Yeah.
in terms of how they'll play, they'll be easy in the eye. And that's
score goals,
and
won't
people
they?
will just think that's overachieving just through seeing
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
you know. And if
Yeah.
they stay up, they're going to be. If they stay up, they'll go to the next level. Like with their scouting network, it'll be brilliant. But
just on Tony as well, before we move on, I think with VAR and the amount of penalties they get given as well, like his penalties are
that's
a
a good
joke,
point.
mate. The way he just walks up to them and places them the way he does.
yeah,
So I think that's going to make a massive
We'll get a
difference to his
few-
goals.
And
Yeah,
here's
that.
a
they
question.
need pens to
Not
stay
off-
up there with one now, wouldn't they?
So we've got two of us, two of our experts who think Brentford are going to overachieve.
yeah.
Do you think before the end of next season, even Tony would get a slot in the England squad?
No.
It could be
No.
Okay, fair enough.
No,
I
there's
think
too
he
many
could.
good strikers.
Not after
Ahead of him.
one season.
When,
It
when you
depends
when
if
you
he-
think Ings, Callum Wilson, either has a good season, being in Southgate's book already, and Kane and Calvert-Lewin, too many players will be ahead of him for now.
He's way down the pecking order. But if he got like 15 plus Premier League goals like this season coming, then he's going to be in the squad. I would have said.
He'll be in the comments. I don't think he'll be in the squad. I just think
Who
there's
plays
too
in-
many good attacking
It
players.
depends though,
squad.
doesn't it?
But
Because
I
playing
know,
teams
but
like Sam
only-
Allardyce
okay,
and-
it only
okay.
takes Calvert-Lewin
How
to have
good
a
was
bad season.
how good was Bamford this season?
He should have been there for me.
I don't think
but-
he should have,
But
because I don't think he suits our style of play, and I haven't seen
I
enough of Tony
suppose you
to
can
actually
look at that as well. Yeah.
have a look. I can't agree. I haven't seen enough of Tony like you probably have, and you probably have. Obviously, you've both probably seen a lot more than me, so I can't have that. But I've seen seen him a few times and think he doesn't add what like Kane, Calvert-Lewin, or whatever Ings
Yeah.
would bring at this moment in time. Even
Okay.
Callum Wilson. That's why I just think not at the moment. So going on to my overachievers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shock a couple of you here. Mine was Brentford, but then I looked at the league table before we did this.
Oh, so we could have been
Could have
Yeah.
been
all on
three
the
It
same
could have been all
page, yeah,
three,
all on the same
but-
page.
My one, and I love watching this team, and I think this is the season. I think they still need to get a striker. I mean, if they do, they'll go to the next level.
Man United.
No. Yeah, well, yeah. But Brighton,
Okay,
Brighton.
that's an interesting one.
2 seasons now. Don't
They've
get me
lost
wrong.
Ben White though. How will they
They've,
handle that?
I think they'll be fine. I think defensively they're quite good, and again they're looking at that Phillips, and they're going to get that Phillips, who I think will be a great replacement, to be honest, for Ben White. But the way they play, they're so comfortable on the ball.
Yeah.
The only thing that they lack is scoring a goal.
Striker, yeah.
And I think if they go out and get, I don't even know if they've got a striker, okay, or if someone like Mope suddenly hits the ground running, Welbeck has a season of his life, or someone just starts banging in goals, because there were so many games last year where Brighton were playing great football, creating I think there was a few games in a row where they created 60 chances in 3 games, and that's fucking mad for a team like
I think
Brighton.
they're definitely one of those teams that obviously easy on the eye. And
And
they
that's
look
what I
good,
think.
and
Could they make?
They do create a lot.
Can they make that step up? Is
But
what I'm thinking.
I've
And I
got
think
a
they
question.
can.
There's like Lamptey as well. If he can take
Yeah, well,
that
yeah.
step up, he'll be a big player.
But
Well,
by them overachieving, where would you see them
Like,
sort of finishing? What would be an overachievement
top
you think,
half.
for them?
top half.
So, look, because the last couple
We
of
both did
seasons,
it one season.
the thing is,
so-
the last couple of seasons, they've been playing unbelievable football, going to big teams and doing really. Like last season, they went to Anfield, won 1-0. I think they went and beat Arsenal. I think they gave every team a really good game. I can't think of every game.
Man United only
but-
won with a
We
last
beat them
minute
3-2 with a
Yeah.
penalty
Oh, yeah.
after the final
yes,
whistle.
yes. But again, a good game against that team.
Yeah.
And I just think this is the season where Potter's been with them a couple of years. He's got them all ingrained into the way he wants them to play now. They're all comfortable on the ball. I think this is the year where they say, right, let's put the ball in the back of net and get further up the league. And I just think
it's just
they'll
against
be
the
easy
teams
on the
around
eye.
them, isn't it? That they've got to start putting away to
exactly.
to
And
have a
I
better
think this is
season
the
than
season
normal.
when they say, right, come on, let's do it. And I do think they need to get. I think they'll get a striker before the end of the season, whatever that is. I think they'll replace White, but I think for me they're my overachievers. Okay, so let's go into our top 6 then. So there's a lot of teams that could definitely break into the top 6 this year, I think. I think there's also teams that are looking pretty much spot on for top 4 as well. But what do you think? Okay, so let's say 6th and 5th place now. What do you think? So that's obviously the Europa League places.
Yeah.
Very quickly, what do you think? 5th and 6th?
But gut instinct for 6th place. It's Arsenal. I think they're going to make progress under Arteta this year. I just don't think enough to challenge that top 4. I think they've made a couple of good moves. Ben White, Lokonga from Anderlecht, and they were linked with a couple of exciting names. But based on that, I think if they can get Aubameyang back on form, that's going to automatically lift them up to a top 6 team, I think.
So do you think that's down to quality of the players that they won't?
Yeah, I think they've got a few good.
Be in the top 4.
Not good enough for top 4. I think top.
Yeah, but that's
6,
what I mean. Because of the quality of players, do you think that's the reason why they won't be in the top 4?
Yeah, because I think they're gonna. It looks like they're keeping Xhaka now, who, if he can carry on his form from the Euros, he'll be a really good player for them.
I don't even think it's quality of squad with Arsenal. I think it's mentality.
Do you think?
Yeah,
and the players they have still. Like, I think that right now they're buying the right players, but they've still got the players that are putting them back here and not. I think they've got top 4 players, but if they're a top 4 player, some of them have got a shite mentality.
How's Aubameyang gone from being one of the best, probably the best striker in the league, or at least in the conversation, to scoring about 8 goals?
My personal opinion is that contract that he signed just before, just went a bit.
Yeah,
I think Leicester, good value for 5th place still. I think not much has changed from their team last season, and so they're still quite a known quantity. They've got quality all across the field. Obviously, they've got James Maddison, Vardy, Tielemans. They've pretty much kept that strong core.
Yeah, they've added to it really well as well. To be fair,
so I'm fancying Leicester to really push for that top 4, and they'll be there'll be times in the season
there'll be 4 fall away again.
Yeah,
and then they'll go 5th.
and then they'll drop out.
Like the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. So
I felt so bad for them the last 2 seasons.
I do, but one of them was
United, and one of them was Liverpool as well. So I was
I'm sort of glad about it. But
so you're 5th and 6th.
Right. So my 6th place, based on if Harry Kane leaves.
Okay.
So I think Tottenham will finish 6th if Harry Kane stays.
Okay.
But if he doesn't, it's going to shock us, I think. Villa.
Okay.
I think the signings Villa are made, and I think they're going to add to that as well.
Yeah.
And the players that they already had there, the likes of Martinez in goal, Tyrone Mings, Conte, who I think is a real good player, Cash, McGinn, Watkins. So I think they're going to have a real good season, and I think a lot of people will think the same after a couple of rounds of the Premier League.
I think merits to what you're saying. I think they've recruited really well this season as a whole. I think Grealish leaving has almost kind of been an inevitability to an extent. Like, it's always been every season linked to wave a move, but hasn't quite left. And I think this year's finally the year he moves.
And I think Villa have actually been ready for it. I think that's what it is.
My thing is that over a 38 game season, I just don't think they've got the defensive strength. I think Matty Cash is really good. Tyrone Mings is a good international defender, but I worked with quite a few Villa fans.
Clean sheets last year.
I'm actually
They've
quite
got a
surprised
quality
at that,
goalkeeper. That's what you need to think of.
Martinez, I do think,
and
is
he only got beaten by Edison.
Yeah, well there you go.
That won the league. And you're worried about their defence.
Yeah, I just think when they do concede goals, they'll just concede more than one goal, which I just think isn't really sustainable. I think.
Fair enough.
I think they'll be a good team. But Percy, like I said earlier, I think they'll finish between 7th or 8th.
Okay.
And 5th or 6th is a bit too high for me, I think.
And what's your 5th?
Well, I said it shocked you, didn't I? 5th for me is Leicester. I think they're just going to miss out again. I don't think I don't think they're going to spend as much time in the top 4 as they have done the past 2 years. So I don't think it's going to come as a shock to them when they finish 5th, or they won't be as disheartened as previous seasons when they finished there. Yeah, I just think they're just a solid team. You know, they've got a really good manager. You know, as far as I know, they haven't lost any players this season. I don't know if not sure if they've bought anyone in yet. That's going to make a massive difference. But I just feel the team that they've got, they're all at a good age, and you know, if keep them all fit, and I think Vardy's going to have a better season than last year. So yeah, I think they'll finish 5th. But as I say, I don't think they'll spend as much time
So
near
with
the top
me,
as they did.
I completely agree with your 5th and 6th. Like, that was mine as well. I was
Really?
like, I'm going to shock them both here. Then you said it. I was like, you've stolen my thunder there, man. But like for me, my reasoning, because I get what you're saying, but when I think of Tottenham and Arsenal, who you think are the top 6 clubs, I think Tottenham are in transition now. Like, I think we've just got to accept that Kane's either leaving or he's not going to play at the level he's been at.
That's going to play.
And I think, and that's not purely his fault. I just think because Tottenham aren't good enough anymore. I think they just don't have the same squad they did, and I think Kane was struggling in that squad.
He drags
now.
that team.
If he stays,
he drags that team to where they finish.
I can't believe Son you
It is
contract,
very
by the
much
way.
Son and Kane, but like the defence isn't where it was when Pochettino was there and they were challenging for Champions League.
Well, they've both left, haven't they? Alderweireld's gone.
They've left. You know, you got players like Davison Sanchez who's better as a FIFA player rather than an actual player. I just
He's a bit
across the board, just their defence. I'm not a fan of.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're in transition, and I think Arsenal, who you would put as
I think they'll
six,
finish about 9th, to be honest.
Well,
something
and,
like that. I don't think they'll.
And I think Arsenal will be better than Tottenham this year. I think they're in a. I think they've gone through their shit bit that Tottenham are about to go into, and they're slowly moving up. But I still don't think they're good enough for 6th. As I said, I don't think their mentality's right.
For me, they're the next one out of. I know we haven't said my whole top 6 yet, but Arsenal are definitely the team that, if they're the most likely to break the top 6, my top 6 anyway for me.
Yeah. Because with Arsenal, they need Arteta now this year. Last year was kind of forgivable because it's a transition, and but this year he's been given a bit of money. He's signed a few decent players. It's kind of like, okay, you need to take that next level of progression.
I'm just not convinced by them right now, but as I say, agree. with I think Ben White's a massive signing, and I think it wouldn't shock me if they, had a real good season and finished top 4. But just after last year, I'm just not convinced. I think
in terms of Villa and Leicester, though, I think the reason why I'd put them ahead of them is I know Villa are getting rid of Grealish, but they have a solid squad.
As a team,
and again,
I just think they're better.
They have a way of playing that they all understand, and all they're doing. Yes, Grealish has left, but that's not a huge loss when most of that team know how to play, and they're adding players to make it better now. So they're adding to it. They've got a base to add to, and Leicester are exactly the same.
They get the right, both
Leicester have got a solid
right
squad. They're spending wisely. They're giving their best players good contracts. You look at Grealish a couple of years ago. Villa gave them a 5-year contract. Now they're reaping the rewards because they're getting 100 million, and now they can put into their squad like they're doing. And Leicester are in the same boat, 100%. And they've added some very good players. And I just think Leicester will miss top 4 again, unfortunately, but they should be happy with where they are. And I think they're doing really well. But in terms of top 4, you said your top 4 is gonna. Is that because of the listing?
The listing, I think the listing. I don't think either of you be happy because obviously.
I don't know if Liverpool can fucking get top 4 easily this year.
So, I guess we'll start with me then. So I think 4th. Sorry, Sean, but I think Liverpool are going to come 4th.
Okay.
I think Man United are going to come 3rd. I think Chelsea are going to come 2nd. I think Man City are going to champions elect again.
Okay. And what do you think, Brad?
Okay, we're not talking about.
Well, we'll talk about it after.
Okay,
I'm thinking about SD card space, so we've got to be quicker now.
Right, so I'll start from the top down because it's easy for me. I think my heart says Man United.
To win the league, yeah?
Yeah, but I think.
Love is blind.
Right now, I think Man City, unless we sign a defence midfielder, for me, Man City, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, for me.
Okay. So, I completely see why you think Liverpool, because everyone is still looking at last season and not really
Yeah.
seeing it in context, which I think is fair enough. And I'm sure there's a
I feel
lot
like I'm
of
seeing it in
Liverpool fans.
context.
I think there's a lot of Liverpool fans that feel that way as well.
Yeah.
But for me, I look at it, the way I'm looking at this season is all of our best players are coming back.
Apart
fit.
from Ronaldo.
Yeah, no, of
And
course,
that's
apart
that's
from-
a big
no,
guy that's not come back.
Of
You
course
gotta
it
replace
is.
him.
But the way I see it is we've got Curtis Jones emerging. That is starting.
Yeah.
Last season he came in, looked great. Naby Keita, I just fucking hope he doesn't get injured because pre-season again, he's setting it a lot and he looks quality and he does look like the player that can just come into
He's a poor
Wijnaldum's
man's Fred.
shoes. And no, he's not. Trust me. But
Poor man's Fred.
but Chamberlain can come in as well. People forget about Chamberlain, but when Chamberlain got his ACL injury,
I thought he retired.
no, well, he
Old man,
he
isn't
was
he?
so unfortunate, and I just think that given a good pre-season, which he hasn't had really since the ACL, he could have a good chance.
Do you
just
reckon
to
he
get
would have
through.
won the league
But
last year if he was fully fit?
No. to long story cut short, I just think with the players coming back, the manager we have, them all playing the way they know we have, and again the biggest thing I keep talking about, mentality that squad have as a whole,
Yeah.
and signing all these players down to long-term contracts, I just can see us going on a resurgence again. Like again, we were in absolutely shite, and as soon as we got a few of our good players back, we finished third. Like it's like what? And that's why I look at that and go, okay, everyone can look at how bad we were from January to April, but let's just remember how good they were.
Well, so you think
once-
you're going to win the league?
I think they're going to win the league, so that's my shout.
You're
Everyone, that's
mental.
going to shock everyone.
You
Yeah.
are mental.
I know that's going to shock everyone, but I genuinely
It's
believe.
not going to shock
It's
any of
our
us two
year,
because
mate.
we.
It's our year.
But
Yeah,
no,
it doesn't shock me
no.
coming from
Yeah.
you.
No, but I see it. I still feel the same. Now we've got all of our players back. I feel the same as I did at the start of last season when we started off beating
And
every team.
season before that for the
No, well we won.
10
We
years
won the
prior.
league by 20 points, and there's no reason why Man City. Right now, I'm not too concerned about Grealish, as I said, because they need a striker more than anything. I'm thinking 2 years back when we won the league, Man City haven't done enough to challenge that Liverpool team that battered them that season. So I look at it that context.
They've signed
Yeah.
Diaz.
But
and
I'm
the
very-
Diaz
Stones
Stones
are a lot
partnership.
better,
That's
yeah.
improved them a hell of a lot.
What I'm saying is they need a striker for me to be worried.
Yeah.
But
That's
I also
all I'm
think
saying. They
Liverpool
get
need a
Kane.
striker. I mean, you look at Firmino, just hasn't had the output
No, but
needed.
he's
from-
not a goal scorer.
But that's
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
that's
saying.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
but
but
every,
should.
every other fan,
He should be
every
doing that.
other
though.
fan,
He's your centre
no,
forward.
yeah.
no,
He should be scoring those
don't get me
goals.
wrong. He fucking frustrates me. He should score more. I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying is, apart from last season when our whole squad got fucked, what he brings to the squad is so much more. There's a reason why Salah wins fucking Golden Boot every year. It's because of him. There's a reason why Mane scores loads of goals. It's because of him. And then he bags goals as well, Firmino. He should score more, yes, and I agree with you on that. But so many people just look at Firmino's stats and don't actually watch the game like me as a Liverpool fan does, and he brings so much more to the game than people think.
I don't know. For me, I
No, I know. I understand why people say that because they wouldn't watch Liverpool
He
as
looks,
much as I
he
do.
looks good sometimes. He does, the odd
Yeah.
flick round the corner and stuff like that, and like he'll cut a pass back and assist someone when he should have shot, and he looks great. But for me,
No,
he's just.
As I said, I
He
completely understand
should
it.
be scoring way more.
Yeah, he
goals than
should. He should. He
Especially for a
annoys
team
me.
like
He annoys
a
me when he
team
goes
like
through
Liverpool.
1-on-1 and tries to square it every time as well.
you're supposed to be a big club and all that. If you are a big club. So for me, you should have a centre forward that's scoring 25 plus goals a season.
Salah.
Yeah,
Mane.
to
He's
be
not-
fair,
he's not-
you-
he's not-
you've
The
got
thing
to
is,
go
it's just
Mane, but-
I know-
people
I
are
know.
obsessed with the number 9 doing it, and they're not
No,
realising
but
that we've got two
I feel
players
like
doing
people.
it.
I feel like people don't give Firmino enough criticism because of how many goals Salah and Mane get. In my
But he's
opinion.
the one that provides it.
Yeah, but not all the time.
It's
It's
not. I'm not talking where everyone flies into his assists and goals, because that's the only one that people look at if you don't watch a game, right? But when you actually look at the game, the spaces he drops into, they're the ones that bring the midfielders in. They're the ones that push Salah and Mane forward, and we get so many. I'm not talking last season now, but the season before, that's where we just blitzed every team because we had a way of playing, as I said, and Firmino is very much in that way of playing that stretches teams.
I feel like you could have someone that does exactly what he does plus 10 15 more goals, in my opinion. And I think a club like Liverpool should have that.
And there's no reason why it might not happen.
Yeah,
But
of course.
and there's also no reason why Jota doesn't play there as well, and not Firmino sometimes. Like that's what I'm looking at. Is we've got Jota who looks dangerous in that position as well, and on the wing. So in terms of that, we have depth. Like I'm not worried about that because Jota fucking came in and was banging goals before he got injured as well. So
he had a better season
I just think
than
last
Mane and
season
Firmino for me.
there was a lot of negatives, but people forget how good that team is, and I'm just there thinking, okay, if Liverpool stay fit and with the mentality of the manager and the mentality of that team and the way they play, they're going to shock a few people. And I would be wrong not to believe in that through what I know. I know last season was a write-off.
I agree.
I
agree what
in
you're
this
saying
season.
to a certain extent, because I think you're obviously going to be better with Van Dijk back, Henderson and Fabinho in midfield, and I think Mane had a poor season last year. I can't see him having another poor season, so I think he's going to be better. Another year with Jota being at the club, I think he's going to be better, and I think at some point he will make additions that are going to improve you. So I do think you're definitely going to have a better season.
Yeah,
but I just think
we'll look better. Yeah,
I just think Chelsea, they're going to be a lot better with a full season with Tuchel.
So to finish it.
Yeah. So what's your top four? Actually?
So obviously I've said Liverpool, right? But that's me fan. I'll predict that, and I believe that we can win the league.
Yeah.
But one thing I also believe, and I've said this in a previous one, is all four of these teams are going to be fucking at loggerheads the whole way, and Liverpool might have an absolute blitz of a season and finish fourth, like you two have predicted. And I wouldn't mind if that happens. Like it's fine. Like, as long as we finish top four, it's sound. But I do think it's going to be obviously. It's difficult to say second, third, or fourth, but I'm going to go Man City second. I'm going to go Chelsea third. And I'm going to go Man United fourth. But as I said, I'm not saying that through like how good the teams are. I think they're all the closest four teams have ever been, and I do see it just constantly going like that. And this is where again I go to Liverpool, because I'm like, I would put Liverpool and Man City as the favourites, because mentality-wise throughout the whole season, the last couple of seasons, they've been the teams with the managers that have coped with it the best. And I still think Man United would have the mentality of, we're not quite there yet. I think they'll get 20 games in and go,
possibly,
they'll go, we're happy with top four.
I just think a factor that we can't discount is just Chelsea. Chelsea last season, when Tuchel started, Chelsea were at the top of pretty much expected goals, assists, goals scored, and points scored as well. So I think, look, they've got players like Kante, got players like Mason Mount who's going to develop.
They're the best team in Europe at the minute.
Exactly, and they won the Champions League. They got to the final of the FA Cup, beating Man City en route. The only thing that's prevents me saying Chelsea are going to win it, because I think they're going to really push for it, is will Timo Werner get the goals that they need? If they don't sign that striker who they're chasing, like Lukaku, Haaland, or even Kane, as unlikely as it is, if they got a world-class striker this window, I honestly think they are the team that are realistically going to beat Man City.
That would be ahead of no. Yeah. If they get a striker, because honestly, if Man City spend 100 million on Grealish, they're not buying a top-class striker.
Yeah.
So if Chelsea then go out and do it correctly and get Lukaku for 100 million, they're way ahead of Man City in my eyes.
You say that though,
and
Man City won the league last year without a striker, because that's when Guerrero was injured for pretty much all of it.
Again,
Jesus barely played didn't score.
How bad that season was.
For you?
I can't.
For
for all of you.
But they dominated it though.
They didn't dominate it. They did shit for the first half. There was a point where Liverpool were 8 points clear of Man City.
Yeah.
People forget how bad they started and how much teams could have got away from them. Liverpool looked like they were going to, and then they went through that December period where it faltered, and then it was that Liverpool-Man United game where it was billed as, for first time in ages, an actual title decider game kind of thing. And we both played shite, and then from that point on, Man City were like, that's when they beat Chelsea. They look great.
I think because they set such high standards.
Well, exactly. They peaked
when
it
they've
up.
won the league and they've got over 100 points, and they're beating all the bottom 10 teams by 3, 4, 5. I think that's why maybe you're saying that, but I still think they were. I think they were, in a way, like like Jose Mourinho's Chelsea when he won the league and they were beating like 2-0. And they never looked like conceded. I feel like that's how Man City was last year.
Okay, I feel like I'm like slating Man City, and I don't mean to be like that.
Definitely vendetta.
No, but
definitely.
Like, I think they're a great team, but what I'm saying, last season, I just think people are hyping that Man City season too much. Like, because the way and people are then going into this season and go, oh, they're going to smash everyone. Like, they're not, because last season they were able to just do enough. Because as I said, the quality was just not there. The quality of Chelsea started when Tuchel came in, and that's fair enough. So again, you expect that to come into this season. Liverpool had half their squad decimated. You don't expect the same thing to happen again. They're going to be there next season. United have added brilliantly in my eyes, so they're going to be 10 times better. So now you've got, as I said,
I do think it's
you've got
be
3
so
teams,
close.
and I still
So
look
close.
at Man City and go, they haven't done enough to get to be blitzing them other 3 teams that everyone's saying they're going to do. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, if they get Kane, yes. I think
if Man City get
Kane, they've won the league in my eyes. I think that's enough. They just need that striker that's going to bang them goals. But before, they relied on just class of De Bruyne here and there to do it. But the other teams are too good to do that now. The last couple of seasons, when they were dominating, the only team they eventually had to challenge them was a couple of seasons of Liverpool. And then Man United with Mourinho, who he said it was the best thing they ever did, finishing second. But he was nowhere near that Man City team.
We finished
so Man City haven't
over 10 points behind.
Man City haven't had title challengers really.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them to push them.
I get what you
they
mean,
only had
but
Liverpool, whereas
I
this
think-
year there's 4 teams
Yeah.
that are gonna push them close and make it difficult.
But I
for
think
them.
So
they-
going
I think
into the
they've
last
named-
game of the season, realistically, when it comes to game day 38,
I think it'd have been won by them.
how many teams? Okay, so
I don't
we
think it would, you know.
Okay.
Before the last game, yeah. I think.
Before-
I
Do you
think.
think?
Yeah.
I think it's going to the last game of the season.
Nah, I don't think it's going to be that close.
yeah.
Whoever finishes second, I think they're going to be within 7 points behind.
Do you think?
But I think like the other 2, they're going to be, within 10 maybe. You know,
and at that point, you think Man United 7 points clear. And
No,
think
I said Man
Liverpool
City,
7
didn't I?
points. Oh, I thought you said Man United.
I said Man United if we
Did he
sign
not?
CDM.
No, he said he wants to say Man United, but he
Oh,
said Man City.
I
okay.
said if Man United sign a
So
CDM.
Brad, for
Okay.
once, is actually
Well,
level-headed, and
fair enough.
I've got respect for that. I've got
Fair
respect
enough.
for
So yeah, I think, but I said if Man United sign a CDM, which I put that a bit loosely. If we sign a world class CDM,
Yeah,
that.
okay.
so I think we'll win it with the additions.
And
that
you
we
said
made.
Man City as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the consensus is that Man City are going to win the league 2-1.
Yeah.
But I think was interesting that we're all unanimous on who we think our top 4 is. Just the
Yeah.
differences.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the top 4. So it is going to be an amazing season this season. It's we all think we know what the top 4 is going to be, but who do you think is going to win the league? Do you think it's going to be Man City like these 2? Do you think Liverpool can come
Hurts me
back
to
like
say
they
that,
did?
by the way.
Do you think Man United have done enough with Varane and Sancho to win the league? Let us know down below. Hope you enjoyed that. And
Declan Rice, if you're watching, sign for United so we win the league. Or indeed, I know you watch.